Today, Ryan, one of your peers, Daniel Jeremiah, has mocked Jaxson Dart to the Steelers. There's a lot of discussion now, given the Steelers' quarterback quandary, of taking Jaxson Dart if he's there at 21. So do you think he's right now on your board? Do you have a first-round grade on Jaxson Dart, Ryan Wilson?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I don't. I have a second-round grade, but you know how it goes. Sometimes these guys get pushed up, and this is going to be a popular landing spot for Jaxson Dart with Pittsburgh, and maybe even a few picks later at 26 at the Rams. The Rams, certainly their quarterback situation isn't nearly as precarious in the short term as the Steelers. In fact, you could argue the Steelers have the worst quarterback situation as we sit here. And I'm sure you guys have talked about this. I'm not sure that Justin Fields was going to be the answer. So I get moving on from that, but there doesn't seem to be much of a plan beyond that. And one of the issues is that when you pick consistently in the 20s in the Mike Tomlin era, you're not going to get a franchise quarterback. So that's a concern. Now, Jaxson Dart, can he have success in the NFL? Absolutely, but you have to have other things in place, not only just around Jaxson Dart, but any quarterback. I talk about Jaden Daniels last year and Bo Nix, and they went to situations where they remade those teams, and Cliff Kingsbury was the right guy for Jaden, and certainly Sean Payton for Bo Nix, and I think Arthur Smith did a really good job last year with a precarious quarterback situation. I don't hate the idea of Jaxson Dart at 21, but you talked about all my travels, Pony. Yesterday I was at the Syracuse Pro Day, and if you told me Jaxson Dart at 21 or Kyle McCord at 83, I might lean Kyle McCord because there's no second-round pick now, of course, because of the DK Metcalf trade, and maybe 21. You can find another position player to help out either the offense or defense, whichever direction you want to go.
Yeah, first off, I don't think I need to see Kyle McCord playing football at Acrisure Stadium ever again, given what happened to him last time he set foot in there.
Fair enough.
Ryan, I'm guilty of this as anybody. I'm not going down to the Senior Bowl. I'm relying on the reporting you and others do, drafted experts. But I am guilty of saying things like, well, the 2026 quarterback class is clearly going to be deeper and more talented than this year's. That's why I don't want them to take Dart. I think it would be a massive overdraft. When you look at the guys who are likely to be coming out next year, likely, not definite, like where actually would a guy like Jaxson Dart slide in that draft? Like where would he rate behind players that are projected to be eligible for that 2026 class? Like how much, when people like me say that, how much are we speaking in facts versus sort of guesstimating here?
No, you're right. And a lot can change in terms of guys that come out of nowhere, sort of the Joe Burrow types of the world that go from day 3 guy, first overall guy. Jaden Daniels last year is an example. I don't have the names in front of me, but there are probably 3 or 4 guys off the top of my head that would go ahead of Jaxson Dart. And if you want to do the math, backwards math, in terms of last year's class, Jaxson Dart would have been QB 6 or 7. And if we're not including Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward in that draft class. So he would have been 6 or 7 last year. He would have been ahead of Spencer Rattler for me, who actually like more than some folks. But he probably would have been late day 2, early day 3. And I think you make a fantastic point, because just go back to 2022 when the Steelers overdrafted Kenny Pickett, and look where that got them. And maybe this is, the reason we're having the Mason Rudolph conversations about whether he's a short-term solution if nothing else works out. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is much of a solution beyond 1 year if that works out as well. But I think that's something to keep in mind. Like, they've been burned by this once. Jaxson Dart, is he better than Kenny Pickett? Yes. Is he substantially better than Kenny Pickett? No. So, Kenny Pickett probably should have gone second or third round, and I think Jaxson Dart's a second-round pick. And if you take him at 21, everything else better be in place to help him. And you guys would probably agree with me that everything is not yet quite in place to help a young quarterback.